I am the founder is Mike Ramos.
Oh, okay.
I
She
am
is,
leading his Orlando division here.
Nicole is the leader of
Yes.
the Momentum Luxury Real Estate Division in Orlando. And thanks for the correction, Nicole. I appreciate it. And she is an Instagram and Pinterest expert, and that's what she's here to talk about today. But she also is an expert in the local Orlando real estate market. And you've been in the Orlando market for 24 years, is that right?
Yes, almost 25 years.
Yep. And she's been a mortgage broker, a real estate transaction coordinator, loan officer, and most recently, a realtor, which is great because you have experience in all aspects of the real estate process. And you've worked with clients all over the world. And I love this, what you wrote, that you can help educate buyers, sellers, and investors on all aspects of the real estate process, find hidden gems and investment properties, and effectively guide your clients through each transaction while anticipating any potential hurdles, which is really important in today's crazy market. And your mission is to enable clients to make smart, informed decisions, which I think is also incredibly important in today's market. So welcome, and we are so excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here as well, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk Instagram because Nicole, how many Instagram followers do you have?
10,900 currently.
Which is great. And you started with zero and you
Yes.
grew it to almost 11,000 organically, which is really wonderful. How long did it take you to do that? And what did you like about Instagram when you first discovered it and started using the platform?
2015 was probably when I really started to grow it because in the beginning I was just playing around with certain posts, kind of measuring what they were doing. It was really a game between my best friend and I. We were just looking to go ahead and share different design styles and different vendors and just things like that. But then when I would post things that I loved, or my design style, it was just okay. Who are these random people coming in that like my photo? And then I was like, wait a minute, this could be an opportunity to potentially grow in business, and maybe I could reach someone who's interested in moving to the Orlando market. So relocation was the bigger picture at that time, and with just being new to the that side of the industry, I
Right.
wasn't in a position to become a relocation expert. But I said I'm going to do everything possible to attract and also present to potential people moving to the area, and why
Mhm.
not work with me?
Right. What percentage do you think of your business today comes from your Instagram?
I would probably say 90% of the business.
Wow, that's great.
And the
That's
reason
great.
why is I can't really tag it every single step.
Hmm.
But what happens is mid-term of me maybe meeting with someone and they say, okay, I was referred to you by X person. But what it really was a share from Instagram to that from another person to the person that's calling me. But then I'm like, okay, so Instagram is driving that bus of connecting people directly into my location. So it's so much of it is going directly from Instagram or indirectly coming from a post from Instagram.
Got it. And how was your Instagram and how was your business impacted by the pandemic? What did you do differently on Instagram than you'd done in the past?
Well, I went towards more of a virtual showing concept. So I
Hmm.
did more hashtags that would bring in people who were looking for a virtual tour or a home tour, and just interested in possibly finding out more information. So immediately after lockdown, I was like everybody else, like, what's going to happen next? This isn't going to work. And then maybe a week into it, I started to get calls, and a lot of calls asking me if I could help them because they knew a lot of people had shut down. And of course, Florida, because we were essential workers, so we were able to go ahead and get out to the properties. I felt like it was a win-win because I could still be away from people and be safe at the same time. access homes. So I just call my network of agents that I work with and properties that had started to come back onto the market. I was just calling my clients that potentially were interested. And then I would share information about those properties that I knew had come back on, because a lot of the jumbo product had been removed because of, lending criteria. And I went into that market and I was able to do virtual tours sight unseen for 3 clients in 1 month.
Wow.
Mhm. It was over 2 million and 2.5 million, I think, in those 3 clients that I was able to go ahead and help virtually.
Great. Great. Well, I know one other thing that you did during the pandemic, which I thought was so interesting, was you helped people conduct Instagram audits of their accounts. And as the market is picking up, as more things are opening up, it just seemed like such a timely topic for us to discuss today. Even though the market is really crazy in most areas, it's a good time to kind of take stock of what you're doing on Instagram and really hone it, enhance it, and make it better. So what is an Instagram audit?
Instagram audits are, how can you go ahead and fully optimize your profile to attract your ideal client? That's just the bottom line. So me during the pandemic, people would, I had a lot more time on my hands, but I was able to give back in a way I thought could potentially help someone. And especially, I don't follow people just because they have 10,000 followers or whatever. I'll look at their content and truly say, okay, this is somebody who's really good as an agent. They just need some help kind of positioning themselves or curating it. So they would ask me, just talking and normal. I'm like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. I have a couple minutes that I can help you out. Not wanting to be intrusive or, condescending, but it helps some people. And they're like, oh, I would be excited if you could help me. So
It's an extra set of eyes looking at something.
I
Of
know,
course
I'm like,
it's
I'm all
helpful,
about
right?
collaboration. Collaboration is key. So I was like, if you want me to, I can take a look at it. And that's how it started with the audits behind the scenes.
Great. So let's talk about some basics and what are sort of the key 3 things that you need to do for an audit?
Number one, I need to look at bio is critical. And then 2 is identifying your client that you want to attract. And then 3, I think we need to come up with a posting strategy of how you're going to present that information, and almost think of it as a PowerPoint presentation. But 4 is hashtags. Hashtags is what's going to drive that business to you geographically. And also, I use hashtags to attract that person as well.
How do you come up with your hashtags? Do you just do brainstorming and say, okay, I think all these different descriptors are good, or how do you
I
kind
would
of find
probably
out
say
which ones work?
circle back into the actual bio, because I want you're telling a story of who you are on your
Got it.
Instagram. If people look at it from that perspective, I think it helps to create that information. But think of it as where am I? Who am I? Because you may be only in property management. You may only be in luxury homes. You may be only in first time home buyers. Who do you serve and where are you located? I think the biggest thing that I find is people are not putting what their locations are, but just with the hashtag strategy, you want to go ahead and figure out those 3 things first for the hashtags. And then secondary is, who are you trying to attract? Who are your people that you are loving working with? And I always ask people, they're like, oh, I work with everybody. It's like, no. Scale it back down. Who do you love working with? Out of the last 25 transactions you had last year, who are the top 3 people? And you have a person. And I think building that profile or that avatar of the person that you ideally want to work with is key in creating a business that you're going to love. And that was the key for me. After I got on and I started to get people, I had to fine tune that of who that person was.
Right, right. And it's a process, just like you said. You can't expect to have perfection right out of the box. So it's good to start with something, and you can always change and tweak and add, right?
Absolutely. Because I even leave my old Instagram posts on there from the first day. And if you see where I was first day to now, it was a hot mess in the beginning. I mean, but to me, it looked awesome. I'm like, not so good, but it worked. And you don't have to have 10,000 followers. That's what I want people to know.
Yeah. You
Some
have to
people,
start.
it's a start, but it's also about engagement. And the more that you have people engaging with your content, it could be 500 people, and sometimes I think that's key. I'm only posting in the beginning for 1 or 2 people. I'm not looking to attract 1,000 clients. I'm just focusing on the folks that I was working with, and I created content for them.
That's so smart. I mean, that's great advice. Talk about a picture. Talk about your photo and what type of picture you should have.
On the actual profile photo,
Yeah.
it should be a picture of yourself, especially if you are an individual. If you're a team, maybe you have like a team logo. But for the most part, people are on Instagram to present their business the way who they are. So as an individual perspective, it needs to be a picture of yourself so that you can connect to people. And then they start to connect to you, not just on Instagram, but throughout the social media platforms, and they can associate that photo with that's the person that needs to help me. And that's the thing they're looking for.
Yeah. And it should be a relatively current photo, correct? I can't tell you how many times I met an agent and I don't even recognize them because I think their photo is about 20 years old. So
yeah, you want to make sure it's something that's recognizable. I mean, even though we look better at times, as well, but we want to make it recognizable. But we also want to put in that bio 2 hashtags as well. And I think people are missing putting those 2 hashtags, but location is everything. Instagram is actually crawling that to look for your location. I know people like to have these savvy names and really cool sounding stuff that they think is marketing, but honestly, you need to go as simplistic as you can and identify where you're located. So many times I look at a profile, I don't know where these people are located.
Interesting.
Yeah, so when you put Orlando Realtor or Orlando Agent, guess what? Somebody's going into hashtags or looking up for a profile, they're going to find me as an Orlando agent. And that's really critical because you're at least, cutting out all the other people who may have this cute sounding, handle that's on Instagram.
Let's talk a little bit more about identifying your ideal client and then finding imagery that resonates with that ideal client. How did you go about doing that?
The ideal client, I actually had written down notes of where this person probably shops, what stores they like to go to, their ideal home, the ideal style of home that they're looking for when they go online. I'm looking for anything that's personally branded to that person, not so much of what I have to present, but more so what are they looking for. And honestly, it's like reverse engineering the process of posting, and then I create the content that I know that they're looking for.
Okay. Do you ever, once you identify your client who's an ideal client, do you ever look at what they're posting to help find inspiration?
Yes, I will, because I'll go ahead and break down certain pages I want to engage with. And then I'll go ahead, not only will I look at what they're posting, I'll also watch who they follow. And then I can start to paint the picture of why they're following that person and why they want to engage with that person, because that's going to be critical in the way I need to connect to them.
Got it. And then how do you figure out, maybe we're going into content a little too much now, but how do you figure out the mix of things that you post about in terms of your listings or property or staging or design, that type of thing?
Now the way I post is different from when I first posted. So I want to go to when I first posted, because that's going to help someone who's new to Instagram and clean up their Instagram. I talk about what clients are asking me about. So I'll jot down notes throughout the day as I'm communicating and doing my job, but I want to answer questions that I keep hearing over and over again. What's this new place that they're talking about that's coming to Orlando? What's this new community that's about to come out in Orlando? where's the best place for me to hang out with my kids that's free? You know, those are the things that I want to go ahead and address. And instead of just me calling them or texting them, which is what I was doing initially, I was like, why not show this on Instagram? So even my clients who may not be huge Instagram followers or engagers, they will go ahead and directly screenshot post, text it to me, and ask questions. And they won't connect on there, but on the back end, they're doing it, via text. So those are the things that I'm like, if they took the time, that's like 4 to 5 seconds to send that to me, it may be pretty important to them. I need to take a deeper dive into the subject matter. And then I may create content creation a week or 2 weeks in advance to go ahead and present to them in a way that breaks it down slowly so that I'm communicating with them in a way that they understand where that location is, what the price point may be, why it's going to attract them, because people are not buying homes just for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath. They're buying homes that connects to them personally, more intimately than they probably have ever since last year with the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then what happens if you're going after a new type of target base? Let's say you have a core base, but you want to be a little bit more aspirational. Maybe you want to upsize your sales price. What are some things that you can do to help get you to that point?
Okay, so that happened with design photos. So initially, I was in short sales selling $150,000 condos. And then I went out to new home sales, and I was like, this seems to be like a huge market that's coming to as a wave of people relocating to the area. And I was able to post photos and price ranges of those properties and actually drive people to those locations because of hashtags, because of the visuals. And honestly, they'll call you and say to you, my very first client, she called me from Virginia because she had seen an interior photo, and she's like, I'm not seeing a lot of houses like this that are older in Orlando, but where is this located? Because I want a house like this. And I was like, oh, that's a new construction community. And then it goes into like maybe a 30-minute discovery call. And she's like, okay, we're flying in on this date. Can you show us? And absolutely. And that was like my first sale that was at 600,000. And I'm like, she's going to call me from this picture on Instagram. She found me on a hashtag of Orlando real estate, and I'm going to sell a house. I'm like, yeah, right. And then when it happened, it's so funny because she's like one of the biggest referral sources for me right now.
That's amazing. Is that your favorite Instagram story?
Yes, it is. And she would never show her face. She's an introvert. I'm an introvert. I know people don't think I am, but I am. I just know you really well. But those are the things, and those people that are introverted, they're like, I was immediately attracted to you. And people are like, well, I don't even see you on the page. But they connect to my words. They connect to the visuals of the post. And I think that's where I resonate the most with them. And those are really my ideal clients to work with, because I can be myself and not have to pretend that I'm something that's different. Or, we laugh and we talk that we know each other now, but initially it wouldn't be like, I'm not on level 10 of energy when I'm communicating with someone. I'm just like, give me the information you're looking for. I'm driving that to you. And a lot of them, like, you just cut to the chase, and that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be authentic and find what works for you.
Exactly. And I think when people find who their perfect person is, it may be really interesting that they don't know that's their person either. So it's pretty introspective when you start to break it down and take a look at it. And then you find out what are these people interested in, and then create content that mimics what they're looking for.
Got it. Let's talk about strategy a little bit. And I know that it can be really overwhelming to think, oh, I have to post 20 times a day. I have to post 15 times a day. What do you do? What's a good number of times to post?
I would tell people this: at least try to post on the front end of your Instagram twice a week. I know the algorithm changes. I know it's all this stuff that you'll hear. You got to do it 5 times a day. In the beginning, Try to post a couple times a week. Commit to something that you can be consistent to. I don't care in our personal business and our, online businesses, it needs to be consistent. So whatever you think you can be consistent to, show up on those 2 days a week or 3 days a week, that's what you should do. But Insta stories, which is a whole different animal, can go in different directions too.
So do you recommend just doing a regular post and stories, or is it both?
Both. They should do both. Because in the beginning, they need to build who they are. They have to tell that story of how they're going to serve someone that's coming to their page. And by doing that, you have to put those components together almost as a PowerPoint or a gallery of information to present to someone.
Okay. So that would be in the stories, for example.
Yeah, you could do some of
Yeah.
your stories. So I'm going to say, like, if you did a post about yourself, like you'll see people that say, hi, I want to introduce you to my page. My name is Nicole Mickle. I service Orlando, Florida. And you put all those things on the front page. But maybe you, in that front page, you're going to say, what you can expect from me is, me hanging out with my dog. I don't have a dog, but I'm just saying, me hanging out with my dog, or my son and I were taking on our weekly adventures to, Starbucks or whatever it is. And I think that brings that person in closer, and they're like, this might be interesting. Let me go on some of their adventures. So people who may not post regularly on the front end, they can take advantage of Insta stories, because those are going to be the most visible to most people, and they maximize coverage of finding their people that way.
Got it. How important is video, do you think?
I think video is important. Good video is even better. It's even more important. Let's just say that.
Do you think it's finding a good video? Do you need a professional videographer, or do you just need to be careful about what you take video of?
Be careful of what you take video of. I think the iPhone, all of my photos are iPhone photos. And I think with video, they can do a lot of video that's kind of showing themselves if they want to be that person. For me, I utilize video in a way that I expand on what the photo would be. Instead of just seeing a one shot of an entry, maybe I walk you through that entry. Maybe I allow you to see the open, windows that are like 24 feet high. Those are the things that I put you into the space with me, and I allow you to dream. So that's my angle of video. My video is not going to be like, first time home buyers, this is what you need next, because that's not my client for the most part for presenting. But I think once we find out who your client is, that may be a great, reel that you could do. It could be multi-purpose. You can repurpose and put it on TikTok. It's so many things that you can do with video, but I think creating 5, 10, and 15-second videos is most critical.
Okay. Any particular topics that are more successful than others?
Yeah, who the client is.
Who the client is?
Yeah, how you want to identify to them, because my client is probably buying their second or their third home for the most. They don't care to hear about that. They want to cut through the chase and get right into the meat and potatoes. Where is it located? How can you offer me a discount, or how can you help me build it? So with the design photos, it created a new job for me to walk with my clients through a design process. So when I show a home, I'm not just showing a home like, oh, here are the bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage. I'm showing them how they can live in a space, because they've already told me ahead of time, we're going to probably have, our stepkids on the weekend, or our grandkids come on the weekend, or we need a multi-purpose room because I'm going to be working from home and working on a project, or I need the video things or whatever. But those are the things I'm able to go ahead and show them in real time, how we can use the space one-on-one as a scene, but also the alternatives of how it can be seen. So that's what I'm showing them visually.
Got it. What do you think are the 3 biggest mistakes people are making on Instagram today?
Watching their competition and copying it, because a lot of times it's wrong, and it probably never resonate with their ideal client. 2, taking all the information from the gurus and throwing it into one page. It's like, take bits and pieces of this and then be true to yourself. That's the real authentic for me. I think they're just trying to mimic what other people are doing, and it's just like, that's the thing that's number one. And then not really going through the slow process, like you were saying. It needs to be a process. We need to do the bio. Let's wait. Let's write the ideal avatar for those clients. Who are you trying to attract? Why do you want to attract them? And a lot of times when I ask people that, they can't tell me. And that's the bigger thing, because you're just jumping out into the water, but you didn't ask what temperature it was. You didn't know how deep the water was. You didn't know if it had a stream. You know, those are the things I think we should get more inventory and assess the situation before we just jump on Instagram.
Yeah, I really liked what you said at the beginning of at the beginning of our webinar, when you said to help them kind of hone in on who their ideal client is, to kind of look at their last 25 transactions and figure out who they loved the most, or
Yeah,
who they had the most fun
absolutely. Because I think
working with.
in real estate, we're told so much of what it is to be successful, right? Or
Right.
what we think is going to be successful. If you're with luxury clients, that's a success. But I think what the true success is, honing in and helping the people that you really love serving and who you connect to. I mean, that could be a tiny home, but if you do enough of those transactions, but hey, maybe everybody's not trying to be a rainmaker. You know, I think that's the other pressure points of it too. They let those outside forces kind of narrate and navigate how they're going to create their businesses without just saying, hey, I'm going to put some blockers on and focus on what I want to do.
In this time of crazy offers, I know we were talking a little bit about this at the forefront, when I feel like we have to give buyers so much more education as to what they can expect when they're starting to buy in a market. In the Bay Area where I'm located, it's really more of a marathon than a sprint. Although I guess it's more of a marathon with little mini sprints, because you have to act fast once the house comes on the market. How can you educate your clients and convey what's going on in a market using Instagram?
I think we could go in depth in the captions, like maybe share a story of a previous sale. I think telling an experience or potentially saying, hey, kind of let me go through in my stories and let you know how we did this. And maybe document it a little bit more specific than you would have before, because I'm showing 4 or 5 homes to 3 different clients now. I think when I share that with clients, they're really shocked, because initially in Orlando, we didn't have that sprint or marathon thing going on. It was pretty consistent, but not like, okay, we need to make a decision in the next 15 hours or else you're going to lose out. And that's what we're faced with right now. But being able to educate them with the experience of someone else, and I think kind of breaking it down, hey, this is what we offered and it didn't go through. We submitted 15 offers and it didn't go through. And I think from there, it educates them to a point that they say, hey, maybe I need to sit this one out until it kind of levels off. And can you call me back? And with those clients, I call them, once a week, kind of get them updated with the market, explain to them specifically, because each one has a different area they may be looking in. So I may give them more demographics on that location. But then for the people that's more generically out here looking, I'm going to explain in the storyline of the Just Sold how I'm able to go ahead and help people and maybe share a little bit of insight if my clients allow me to share that story.
Got it. Got it. I'm going to pause for a second and just see if anyone has any questions that they'd like Nicole to answer. We can go ahead and do that now, I think, but I always have plenty of questions that I can ask you, Nicole. What haven't I asked you yet about Instagram that people need to know?
You asked me a lot of stuff on here.
I know.
Posting strategy, we talked about identifying our client and bio. I think people need to go ahead and go way deep on what they specialize in. I see so much of generalizations that most real estate agents say, like over and over again. And it kind of becomes noise, like white noise to the consumer, because they're like, oh, I'm like, when I ask them, what made you select me over another agent? We have over 20 some thousand agents in Orlando alone. And they'll say, oh, well, when you were talking about this or when you were talking about that on the post, I like that. So that told me at that point, they really wanted some specifics. And even though they've been referred to someone else, like within their group, I think it shows the power of social media that is starting to take, maybe a superior position than my mom referred me to this agent. Even I had a mom recently tell me that too. She's like, well, I referred it to the girl in our church that does all the real estate transactions. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, but she selected you. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, awkward, but but when she saw the Instagram post, it resonated to what she needed. So I think people missing that opportunity to really talk to one or two people versus making it so general that they're just like kind of getting caught up in the mix of what everybody else is doing.
Got it. So let's say you get a new listing. What are the first things that you do on Instagram to promote that new listing?
Well, right now I don't do anything because it's going to be like crazy to know. In a normal situation,
It's not even going to make it to market.
yeah, it's not. So, in a normal situation, I would go over the things that my client loved about that home, where it was inside of the home or the bike path that was behind it. A lot of times, what people don't know is I'm in that location for a while before it lists.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I ask them those things about what they love about the home, but then I go out to the home or to the park that they love to go hang out at or the bike paths. And then I kind of hang out around there. Then I'll talk to other people who live in the community and I'll ask them questions. But what that does is I'll share that information like on this bike path or, the flowers that are on this location or homes that's in this community. But I'm not so much talking about my listing. I'm telling them things about that community that they're going to love. And then, boom, surprise, we have a listing that's coming up. So by
That's
the time
great.
I've done that, I've kind of engaged my potential buyers in a way that they haven't been, kind of courted before. And they're like, let me get to know, let me go to this open house. So from there, you do the traditional things, but I think it's more than just like day one bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage price. It needs to have some level of a lead up to it and almost like, introduction to the area.
No, I love that. And I think that that's a great thing that you can do if you want to focus on a specific neighborhood, if you want to showcase your specific expertise, find some of the really amazing houses in the area and then do exactly what you've done, find out what people like about their community and that's what you feature and showcasing a specific area or development or something like that.
Yeah, but it does also help you with future content
Right.
because you sell that one house. Now what? Now you know a lot about this area. So the benefit is that you're becoming a market, a neighborhood expert versus just a one-time salesperson. You're
Mm-hmm.
starting to hone in on things that other people may have not even, they probably missed. And if
Yeah.
your boots on the ground, I mean, it's different. You can go on all these third party portals all you want to and look at them, but what's going to differentiate you between them? You have the locational information that I'm trying to push people to like put that out there. Nobody can take over that if you're able to go ahead and kind of give them that insight that no one else can.
Got it. I know we talked a little bit about bio and I kind of want to go back to that. What do you think is really important to include in your bio?
You want to put in your location, full name, not a nickname. We're in business. A full name that's a real name that they can go ahead and Google if they need to. Location of where you cover or general location, but also who you are personally, maybe a little bit about your experience. And it doesn't have to be, even if you're a brand new real estate agent, I tell people all the time, you have something that connected you to real estate. And that's where you want to highlight that in the bio, like 22 years of customer service, or, top rated, whatever, in, it could be hotel customer service or something. But tell them how they're going to benefit from working with you, not just about you from a, narcissistic angle, but more about how you can serve them.
Got it. All right, well, we are at the bottom of the hour, and I'm going to let Gwyneth join us so she can talk about how, once you do get all your new clients from your amazing Instagram pages that you're now going to do, because Nicole showed us how to do it and told us how to do it. And so Gwyneth is going to take you through a demo. But Nicole, any final thoughts? And thank you so much for chatting with me today and giving us such amazing knowledge.
Thank you. I'm just appreciative to be here. Thank you all for even asking me as an invite. I hope I was able to give some information, but if people have questions after this, I can, take some questions today, tonight, or whatever, because this is my last appointment for today.
How do we find you on Instagram?
You can just go directly to Orlando Real Estate.
Wonderful. Thank you. And you can read articles by Nicole on Iman and other publications, and please follow her on Instagram. That's a little dig because I want her to write more.
I know. I'm on it, Lisa. I promise I'm going to do better.
Thanks for joining us today, Nicole. So wonderful to have you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
And for those of you who want to know a little bit more about Propy, I invite you to stay on, and we'll say thank you again for Nicole, and you're free. And so thank you for Nicole. You can exit yourself if you like, and I will take the screen over and show a little bit about Propy.
So, or you can learn more about Propy, Nicole.
So what I want to do is make a nice segue from what you were saying, Nicole, that Lisa asked you about